Hello everybody, welcome in to the championship race for the NOMA Truck Series presented by Manny Rays. I don't know about everybody watching, but I sure am excited to get this thing rolling. Let's get right down trackside, get into the pre-race ceremonies. We are getting ready for what is probably going to be the best race of the season. All these drivers have been waiting for this moment, and the final four are excited to get one more shot to claim victory. All right, here we go, getting into your race info. We are at a very fast, high-banked mile-and-a-half that is called Chicagoland Speedway. Weather outside, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, 10% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at a calm 2 miles an hour. It's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series here for the Season 3 Championship. 160 laps tonight, 70% fuel, 5 sets of tires, 1 fast repair. Fixed setup, stage 1 going to be at lap 30, stage 2 lap 90. 3 green-white checkers if we need them, but of course stage points not going to matter tonight. All that's going to matter is which championship contender can finish the highest. 76 degrees starting track temp as well. Shouldn't give these guys too much of an issue. Getting into your starting order for the final race of the season, the pole sitter is one of the championship 4 contenders. That's Matthew Dyer for Grandstand Racing in the 2 truck. Ray Zerka to his outside in second. Third is going to be the second championship 4 contender, Joey Hickox for Hickox Racing out of Florida. To his outside is teammate Jay Stinson. John Bell in 5th, Xander Short, in 6th. 7th is going to be Paul Witt. 8th, Justin Parham. Of course, Paul Witt, by the way, making up that row 4 there on the inside. That is the 3rd championship contender. Driver out of Michigan for Max Speed TV. We'll see if he can maybe claim the season championship, as he already claimed the regular season championship. Robert Jordan in 9th. Kenneth Rittinger, the final championship contender tonight, starting on the outside of row 5. Rodney Roberts in 11th. 12th is going to be Randy Bonomi. 13th, Matthew Fritz. 14th, Albert Hewins. Richard Hurst and Vicente Guerrero make up row 8th. Sam Boutwell in 17th. Robert Morrison in 18th. And Robert T. Gray rounding out the field tonight in 19th. All right, here we go. Ready to bring the fireworks to life. We are green at Chicagoland. Good even start. Chicagoland's a big drafting track, so restarts are going to be important. Everybody's going to have to save some tire, but Matthew Dyer is going to lead him down to turn 1 for the first lap. Fat 15, Ray Zerka, he's fighting hard. Joey Hickox going to be real patient with the way he maneuvers himself around this 1.5-mile oval. A lot of laps here tonight. One of the longer races of the season, too, so you certainly don't want to get yourself in trouble here. But how about Ray Zerka fighting on the outside back? Matthew Dyer is still leading. He's looking to lead lap 1. Big run on the outside. It's not going to be enough in the championship contender. How about the 2 truck? Looking strong early. Now again, you're going to see we got labels for everybody here on the side. The guys that are in your final 4 have a C next to their name. That stands for championship 4. And whichever one of those guys finishes the highest. Now we had people come into different point situations, at least in terms of those top 4, but that doesn't matter. All that matters tonight is who can finish the highest. So as of right now, if we threw the checkered flag at this moment, Matthew Dyer would win. Let's get more into your championship 4. Looking at it, how about Matthew Dyer? 12 starts this season. He's got himself 2 wins, currently sits 3rd in points. And that is, of course, one of the 2 Grandstand Racing drivers that has made their way into the Final 4 here tonight. Moving back to 3rd, you're going to find your 2nd Championship 4 driver right now, and that is Joey Hickox. 14 starts on the season, no wins. And I know you might think, well, why would you put that stat in here? We'll tell you about it in just a moment. And 2nd in points. And that right there is why. To be 2nd in points. And again, now, these points are coming into the playoffs. Of course, we know Paul Witt was your regular season champion. But coming into this race tonight, this is where these guys were standing in points. You saw Joey Hickox is 2nd, and that Matthew Dyer was 3rd. But for Joey Hickox to make his way into the Final 4 with not a win on the season, sort of like the Daniel Hemrick story that we saw in real life just a year or so ago in the Xfinity Series, that's how consistent and how fast Joey's been every week. And while he hasn't quite been able to get the top spot, he has certainly probably had the most top 5s and top 10s of just about anybody in the field. Had a great playoff run, and that has allowed him to be here tonight. His teammate Jay Stinson in here as well, unfortunately not able to make the championship 4. Going back to find your 3rd running championship 4 driver, that's going to be Kenneth Rittinger. Currently sits in 6th, but he's already up 4 from where he started. Another driver with 14 starts on the season. He's got 3 wins and came into this race 1st in points. Again, didn't finish the regular season 1st in points, but here tonight he's definitely got the momentum on his side. Go back all the way now to 9th place, and you will find our 4th and final championship 4 driver. That's Paul Witt from Max Speed TV. 14 starts, 3 wins, tied with Kenneth Rittinger. Those 2 do have the most wins of anybody on the season. Comes in tonight 4th in points, but he has that momentum from the regular season where he did claim the championship there. And he's already starting to dice his way through the field. Currently down 2 spots from where he started, but had a little bit of a bad restart, and he seems to be recovering nicely now. Stage 1, only 30 laps, and what you're seeing right now, oh, we got some contact. Trouble for 2 of the championship contenders. Joey Hickox, Kenneth Riedinger, they are around. Caution is out. That's a big mistake early, not from these guys, nothing they could do. It looked like one of the non-playoff drivers washed up the track, got into Kenneth Riedinger. And that's big, big damage early for the 24. That's going to be a fast repair, his only one for sure. Drama here going to shake up the way this race plays out early. Let's take a look at it. That's the 5 of John Bell. And he's just going to get really tight here. You see he's on the bottom. Does he hit the apron maybe? Oh, he does. You see he gets a little too low there. He's going to hit the apron. That's what's going to shoot him up. Once he gets on that apron, just loses the nose, gets up into the left door of Kenneth Riedinger. And that sets him up to Joey Hickox. Pretty hard. Wow, really hard contact for both of those trucks. Joey got pretty good damage, but it looks like the 24 got the worst of it. Did not expect to see this coming. Usually at this point in the race, you would see guys trying to be a lot more conservative. Man, they're not going to be too happy about that one. Nobody wants to use their fast part early, especially on the championship race. Here you go. Yeah, Joey Hickox. Looks like Randy Bonomi as well. That's another Hickox racing driver. Gets damaged. The 47 of Sam Boutwell. He had absolutely nowhere to go either. There's the 76 of Richard Hurst. He got into the grass from it. Now, I believe Paul Witt was able to sneak by it. And, of course, Matthew Dyer, who was up there leading the way, doesn't have to worry about any of this either. Let's take one more look as Paul Witt's going to just sneak through this. Watch, there he goes. Man, he just got by before all the contact really occurred. Let's take one more ride on board here. About with Joey Hickox, who just could not see this coming at all. Kind of got blindsided. He was running that top groove. Man, oh man. It's going to be a fast pair for Joey, too. I would almost have to think for sure. And now all of a sudden, this is going to cause some of these championship contenders to maybe have to sit towards the back the rest of this race. This is not what you want to see early. Up front, though, it is still Matthew Dyer leading the way and your championship for second. Xander Short, Ray Zercut third. John Bell up to fourth. Justin Parham fifth. By the way, John Bell was the leading truck in that incident. Again, he wasn't doing anything on purpose. Just a mistake there by hitting the apron and cost a couple guys their fast repair. A couple championship contenders. Paul Witt in sixth. He still got a clean truck. Matthew Fritz seventh. Robert Gray eighth and ninth. Albert Hewins and Jay Stinson running your top 10. All right, let's check on the 2 championship contenders. There's Joey Hickox and Kenneth Riedinger, and they both did have to use their fast repair. So if they get in another bad wreck now, their championship hopes are going to come to an end. So they are going to have to be really conservative. I think we might see these guys hang back, at least for those first 2 stages. But track position can also be just as important here, so we'll see what strategy they decide to go about here. And throughout this race, we're going to try to make sure we do get an interview with each of your top 4. Of course, that will vary a little bit on cautions, but we know we'll get one at the end of stage 1 and as well at the end of stage 2. But we got the one to go signal, so we're getting ready to go back green here on lap 9. That front row, they look pretty clean on the last restart. I think it's going to look good again, but what I was just getting ready to bring up before we had that contact that brought out our first caution here of the night was, you saw how everybody was still bunched together, even though we had already ran about a handful of laps. Nobody pulled away. That's because Chicagoland is pretty much, if not flat out in these trucks, at least for most of the run. The guys will let out the throttle a little bit in dirty air and stuff just to maybe save some tire, but overall, if you're out in front, you shouldn't really be lifting off the gas much, if any. And as the green flag's back in the air, Matthew Dyer gets another good restart. The 15's going to follow. Xander Short, not the best jump. Does Paul Witt look to take advantage here? He knows he's got 2 damaged trucks pretty far back, and I think if you're Matthew Dyer or Paul Witt in this case, you also got to play a little bit more conservative now. You know you have the upper hand right now with that fast repair still sitting in the pits if you need it. So don't do anything too aggressive here. I think, you know, at the least, let's get up 10 laps or so under our belt here, green. Maybe guys start to separate just a little bit, and then maybe more moves can start to be made, and I think that outside line's going to fade as this race goes on as well. Unless you have multiple guys out there to make a draft work. There's Justin Parham looking to the outside of Xander Short. Another grandstand racing driver that had a pretty good playoff run. Unfortunately, just a little bit short when it came to making it to the Final Four, but still a heck of a season for the 19 either way, and he's ready to go racing here at Chicagoland tonight. Look to the middle for just a second. Didn't see much there. Matthew Dyer is under fire right now from Ray Zerkut in the 15. Let's take a ride on board to championship and race leader right now in Matthew Dyer. We'll show you the throttle as well. Watch the dashboard speeds. He's in front, so he's probably not running the top speeds, but all the way down to turn 1, he's running at about 182. And you hear he is letting off the throttle a little bit because he is on that bottom. Now, if we compare this to Ray Zerkut, thinking he's going to be able to run a bit more throttle up top, so these guys can't quite keep it wide open, but you definitely heard they're not lifting out of the throttle too much. And he's going to go ahead and try to go to the bottom. Doesn't seem like it's quite going to stick. And what you heard there, if you could hear it, was a lot of tire sliding. That tells me that there's going to definitely be tire wear as a factor for all these guys. So I think Matthew Dyer might save a little bit here. Paul Witt might be doing the exact same. Going back here, you'll find Joey Hickox, who was just involved in that wreck. He's kind of not on a big island, but a little island by himself. He's got a couple truck lengths in front of him and a couple truck lengths behind him before he has to worry about getting racy with anybody. And then Kenneth Rittinger is in 13th, just a position behind Joey, separated by Vicente Guerrero, of course. And he looks like he's playing a bit conservative too. You try to stay in the back, you try to kind of run that high line so that you have a little bit more options if they start to wreck. And this definitely calmed us down here for stage 1. My goodness, 14 of 160 laps completed so far, and I think you see Ray Zerkut pull away a little bit here. He's not concerned about trying to conserve any tires. You see Matthew Dyer's continuing to fall here. I still think we've seen him do it before. I think we're seeing him do it again tonight. I think he's just conserving a little bit right now. You saw Paul Witt, though. He did take over the lead in the championship 4. He is now up to 3rd position. Having a heck of a run here early, now up 4 positions from where he started. Rodney Roberts getting a little racy back there with Robert Gray in the 33. Jay Stinson running just in front of his Hickox Racing teammate. Joey, he's looking to the outside of the 33 as well here down the backstretch. And man, I'm sitting here trying to calm down, but I got my heart racing when these guys had got into it early. And it mixed up the strategy so much, but you can see, I think that really did calm everybody down. We're not seeing the crazy 3-wide moves that we were starting to see on that first restart. It's kind of a single file, double file mix throughout the field. You see some of these guys methodically setting up their passes, and they look for a move on one of the straightaways, as Paul Witt's going to do here. The draft is pretty heavy here at Chicagoland. That big sweeping apron on the front is something guys have been taking advantage of, and they're going to continue to take advantage of. You kind of get up here, and now watch the 19 of Justin Parham. If he chooses to use it, looks like he doesn't. Go back, see if any. There you go. We got 1 truck on it. That's the 2 of Matthew Dyer. You see he goes all the way down to the apron. Of course, there's no track limits. Guys have the advantage of doing that. But I'll tell you, the top lane is still working a little better than I expected to at this point in the race. Don't quite, I'd say most of these guys, assuming not really anybody except the damage trucks pit on that last caution, the top crew's still working pretty well here. Again, it is nighttime. The cooler temps, you would almost think the bottom would prevail a little bit, but hey, right now they're making it work, and Joey Hickox is trying to slowly move forward as Matthew Dyer is continuing to fall backwards right now. I still think this has to do with tire saving, but he's going to be taking notes. If for some reason this doesn't work out so well, he may not try that strategy again. Clean air always seems to be a good way to go about it, and Ray Zerkut's got the cleanest air on the track right now. He's still leading the way. Paul Witt in 2nd, Justin Parham 3rd, Matthew Fritz in 4th, and Albert Hewins having a good run. Oh man, that got really close between the 12 and Albert Hewins, man. They almost made contact down the front stretch. The 55 is going to lose some position right here. He had to get out of it to make sure that him and Xander Short didn't spin out. Jay Stinson now side by side on the top. And anybody that's out there watching tonight, I did have slight issues trying to get the audio about in that sweet spot in terms of the truck volume. So let me know how the racing audio sounds mixing with my audio, if I'm too loud, too quiet. Also, who do you think is going to win tonight? You know, I can't put my money on any of these guys. I'm up here in the broadcast booth unbiased, and I've seen each one of these Championship 4 have their shining moments. I mean, Paul Witt, of course, once he finished that regular season championship off, he came into the playoffs on fire. Got a win here in the playoffs, was able to finish it off, even with a little bit of bad luck. You go back, you find Joey Hickox. Seems like every week we talked about he was up front most of the race. He had some races where it seemed like he'd catch a bad break, but staying up front and getting all the stage points that he did. And the good finishes that he was able to accumulate has allowed him to sneak his way in here, even though he doesn't have a win. And I think as a driver, that gives you just as much confidence as anybody with the win to know, hey, I'm out here for a reason. I may not have gotten a win so far this season, but he could get his first one tonight, and that would be the only one that really matters because he would get the championship if he could do it. Matthew Dyer back here in 11th. This guy was the 2-mile oval specialist. We saw him really, really fast on tracks such as Michigan Auto Club. And just when I thought that would be his specialty, he comes out, dominates at some of the other tracks such as Old Atlanta. A lot of speed for Matthew Dyer and a couple of wins to go with it as well on the season. And he has definitely learned how to save tires at a lot of tracks very similar to Chicago, and we're going to see if that pays dividends for him tonight. And then you go to the man who was potentially the second most, if not the most dominant throughout the season, and that's Kenneth Ringer. I know he didn't get the regular season championship, but he had got to have been really, really close in the battle for the most laps led throughout the season, tied with Paul Witt for 3 wins. The unfortunate side for the 24 was there was a lot of races as well at the end. He found himself leading and then found himself wrecked, just as he did early on in this race. Of course, used a fast pair. So we have not seen all we're going to see out of Kenneth Ridinger tonight. This is just him playing it conservative, trying to make sure he doesn't get into any trouble. At least not until he has to force his own hand. Back up front, the battle's still staying pretty tight for first. Ray Zerkut has now led the most laps here tonight. Paul Witt still hanging second. I don't think he's really choosing to push the issue too much right now, as it looks like the groove has kind of moved a little bit more to the middle. Not sure if guys are getting tight or if that's just the fastest line. I think that's probably the most comfortable for these guys. You know, you can run faster getting down to the bottom, but you know you're going to wear your tires out a lot more. Paul Witt is going to go ahead and take that line, though. Try to get a little clean air on the front nose rather, of his Toyota Tundra. And then the 19 of Justin Parham hanging in these guys' wake as well. Those three have kind of put 2 to 3 truck length gap over Matthew Fritz, who currently runs 4th and is up 9 positions from where he started. Matthew Fritz, one of the Hickox Racing drivers, had a pretty good playoff run as well. Couldn't quite get it done. Wasn't able to find a win throughout the playoffs as some of these other guys were. But nonetheless, got the Manny Rays sponsor on the hood. Looking good, looking fast out here tonight. And maybe he could secure a win here at Chicagoland. There's Xander Short. I haven't seen him out here in a little while. Good to see him back out here tonight. Jay Stinson, Rodney Roberts back in the Fireball paint scheme tonight. There's Joey Hickox. Randy Bonomi sitting 9th. Boy, he made the playoffs, but it did not go too well for Randy Bonomi. Was eliminated pretty early on. And then Matthew Dyer, one of the championship 4, currently rounding out your top 10. So up front, it's kind of, well, you know what? I'm going to take that back. I was just going to say we're starting to kind of get single file. Get lined up a little bit here. This is kind of what you expect. Do man, the 12 of Xander Short. Not sure if he got a little loose. It looked like the 48 of Matthew Fritz tried to give him a little bump draft. And oh, Paul Witt gets turned by the 19. Big, big hit for the 429 truck. He's upside down, sliding through 1 and 2 now. Caution is out and trouble for a 3rd playoff driver here early. And that was a right rear if I have ever seen one. Couldn't tell if Paul Witt came up or if Justin Parham came down. Man, oh man, that is not what Paul Witt was probably expecting here, running in the 3rd position. Let's go to the chopper view to start the breakdown of this thing. I thought these guys were racing each other pretty conservatively. Does Paul Witt maybe come up a little bit too much here? Oh, that looks like some netcode. Youch. And that's a big, big impact for Paul Witt. Absolutely nothing he could do. Didn't really have a chance to save it. Coming down the track, he's going to get tagged by another. Oh, man, Rodney Roberts. Another one with nowhere to go. Tags Paul Witt, and then this thing goes for a pretty wild flip. Where he slides up, it's going to hit the wall slightly again, and then rolls down the banking. Now watch this closely. This looks like a little bit of netcode. They were getting really close. It looked like the 19 was maybe just slightly coming down, maybe for a little side draft. But I don't think they ever made contact. Watch really closely here. There's Paul Witt starting to move up, and now Parham's starting to move down. No, it looks like Paul Witt's maybe moving up a little bit. But the point is that they never made contact. There was still probably a foot in between the right rear of Paul Witt and the left front of Justin Parham, and iRacing just kind of registered it as contact. Sends Paul Witt into the outside wall. That's a tough break for both of those guys. Even though Justin Parham may not be in the championship, he was having a good run here early as well. And there's a pretty wild-looking ride from Paul Witt. But I want to go take a look at the left front of Justin Parham here. This should give you a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about. And then we'll take a couple looks from just the normal replay. All right, watch this real slow here. Coming down. Yeah, no contact. And, of course, at this point, there is contact. But at that point, man. And then, you know, that's probably going to be, that might have been a toe for Paul Witt. I couldn't tell initially. Take a couple more views at it from the TV cams. This thing's going to get ugly right here. Boom. 45, nowhere to go. I think we had one more truck get involved. Oh, man, Joey Hickox. Looks like maybe just snuck by on the inside. That was really close. Let's see if he was able to get through it unscathed. Right, even though we went through the grass. Yeah, I think Joey Hickox was able to slip through that. Final view of it here. Man, the 31 did not like what he was seeing. Oh, my goodness. We got a ride on board with that one. You see Randy Bonomi spins out behind, but Joey Hickox just watched his race. His championship hopes, rather, flashed before his eyes. And he did a heck of a job missing this. I don't know how he did it. Watch this wreck happen in front of him. He has to go left, back, right, and back left again. He sees the contact, checking up, sees the 429 up. Now they're back down, does a little drifting action. Whew. Heck of a save from the 31 truck. Well, we've had two accidents, and normally our replays wouldn't take that long, but both accidents have been very, very interesting events that have unfolded here early at Chicago. And Paul Witt is still sitting in the pits. He's got that thing repaired. He's going to put 4 tires on it and get back out here. But you know he's lost at least probably a lap or two. Maybe in danger here of losing 3, depending on how quick he can catch the pack here. Going green this time. It looks like Robert E. Morrison's going to lead us to green. A little bit of damage on the right side for him. Overall, the truck looking clean. Ray Zerkut second. Justin Parham third. Sanders Short fourth. And row 3 is going to be Jay Stinson and Rodney Roberts. Rodney Roberts, not sure. He might have gotten kind of net coated through, so he may not have had to use his fast repair. And there's Joey Hickox. Probably just had a heart attack in the truck, too. And Matthew Dyer back there as well. And this should go ahead and... I believe that would have ended the stage, and wonder how they went ahead and scored that. In fact, you know, it's a good restart here, but I'm just trying to check something real quick. Good restart for Ray Zerkut. That is, Robbie Morrison has already faded a position. But I believe we talked about it in the pre-race. The stage was set to be on lap 30. So that would mean the caution would have technically been that time, but the way it's set up, they might have decided that coming to the line that time was how they were going to decide the stage. Ooh, man, Jay Stinson got really, really loose. Looks like Joey Hickox cuts him a break. And that might have been the case, so let's go back. Oh, we got one spinning. Go back live here real quick. Yellow flag back out. It looked like John Bell. Sure enough, it is. The 5 truck goes for a slide. Can't tell if he's got any damage on it just yet. This is over, and it looks like turns 3 and 4. Actually, excuse me, it looks like it's actually turns 1 and 2. Yep, sure enough. See what happens here. I'll tell you what, a lot of cautions here early. Didn't expect it to go this way. Oh, man. And yet again, could this have been potentially more netcode? We'll have to look down low again. I'm not, and you know, I keep saying netcode at a certain point. I kind of got to wonder if that's just something that it looks like on my end, and if these guys are actually making contact. But I mean, we've seen lobbies like this occasionally where the netcode is just horrific, and that hit looked really interesting for contact. So there's the big checkup that everybody had to kind of do because Jay Stinson had gotten loose out of 4. That one might have been a little contact. It was really, really close. It was hard to say. Let's back this all the way up, though, to turn 4. You'll kind of see where this is going to start. We're going to go up here to Jay Stinson. And he's going to just kind of lose a little bit here. He's side by side. Oh, actually, no, he gets some contact with Rodney Roberts, and then he gets really loose from it. Joey was able to check up for him. No harm, no foul here. They make it through clean. You think they're going to stay clean, and then all of a sudden it's going to start to bunch up right here. This is where things start to get a little sketchy. Watch out. And, man, it's so close on whether or not they made contact. They get really close for sure. And that just takes the left rear of John Bell off the ground. Nothing he could do to save it either. Significant contact into the back end. Nobody else hits him, thankfully. The 5 truck, second incident he's been involved in here tonight. One more view of it again from the chopper cam. And he might have been expecting, I think there's maybe a little bit of contact and then maybe a little net code. Definitely not what we saw on the last strike, that's for sure. But I think John Bell might have expected Albert Hewins to be turning in a little bit earlier than he did. Albert Hewins was going to try to run the turnout a little bit longer, and they just kind of get together. Simple as that. We should be coming to one to go here, I would expect. But while we're doing so, let's see if we could maybe get a word here with one of your playoff 4 drivers. And what better way to start, as it looks like the pace truck was blinking a little bit there. Let's start with the highest running playoff driver right now, and that would be Kenneth Ridinger. Let's see if we can get a quick word with him. Hey, Kenneth, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, this has been certainly an interesting start, to say the least, to a race. Unfortunately, man, we saw you get caught up in a wreck, not of your causing, and nothing you could do about it early, but having to use that fast repair, how do you play the rest of this race out?
Yeah, it's pretty nervous here in the pack. There's a couple guys out here you can't tell if they're going to keep their lane in the corners, so I'm trying to be as conservative as I can in the corners and trying to make my way up there one at a time when I think it's safe. Because yeah, there's just a couple guys out here I can't trust 100%, so take my time.
And I was going to say, I know we're early, so obviously taking your time. I like the strategy call from it, but you know, at a certain point here after those 2 stages, what lap do you think it starts to become more key to get the track position and you just have to kind of go for it?
Well, you kind of want to have the lead, I think, with after the last cycle of pit stops. You kind of want to have the clean air to be able to save your tires and control the rest of the race. So that's the goal.
All right. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Good luck the rest of the lane. We'll see if we're talking to you in victory lane.
All right. Thank you.
We thank Kenneth Ridinger for talking to us. I know they were getting really close to restarting here. That's what we're about to do, but give us a quick moment of his time, and you heard him there. He's got to be really conservative, and actually it looks like they did not get the one to go, so we're not getting ready to restart. Maybe could have got another quick word with him, but you know what? I think we're going to keep it to 1 per interview here as we do get the one to go this time. Ray Zerkut is still leading. And if I had to pick a non-championship driver to put my money on tonight, I think right now it would be Ray Zerkut. That Thrustmaster F-150 has looked really, really fast from the drop of the green. And he's just been going for the lead too. And the reason I note that is because, you know, some of these guys that we see being conservative, they've almost gotten caught up in a couple wrecks. For example, Joey Hickox, after using his fast spare, he kind of had to be conservative, and yet he almost got caught up in Paul Witt's accident, and that could have ended his night for sure. But you know, if you're in the lead, you got to think you're in the safest place. I know you can get contact from behind, and you never know what can happen. You could get loose, but I think I like my chances of, if I'm anywhere in this top 5, Kenneth Ridinger especially, I think maybe I go for the track position here on these first couple laps, unless it's looking sketchy. Then maybe you back up just a little bit. Now that we've been through stage 1, which we didn't get to take a look at, we'll go over that in just a minute on who actually won it. Stage 2, caution should be set to fly on lap 91, the start of lap 91. So we got a little ways till then, and I think there's gonna be at least 1 pit stop, because the fuel window, from what we heard courtesy of Joey Hickox, is about 28 to 32 laps. You have to expect that somewhere in the 60s for these guys. Mid to high lap 60 range when they're going to pit here. But here we are back green at Chicagoland. Rodney Roberts is trying to give a push to Justin Parham. It's not going to be enough, though. Ray Zerkut gets the lead back down here into turn 1. Xander short running his bumper. The 12's looking for a move. Up to the top he goes. That's going to get really tight off turn 2. Almost gets into the outside wall. He keeps it off the 15, looking for a block. There's going to be nothing there. Now we see the 19. Thought about through wide to the inside. Thinks better of it. Xander short looking for the lead here on the 12 truck on lap 37. These guys are looking really, really racy. 15 using full advantage of that apron. He might open it up, though. The 12 had a really good run down the front straightaway. And out back, this is where the guys start to be more conservative. Kenneth Ridinger, though, this time he's not being quite as conservative. He's stuck right there behind his teammate Justin Parham. In fact, going to maybe think about giving him a little arrow push here down the backstretch. There's Matthew Dyer. He's kind of crawled his way back up here after running up front early and then falling to the back. I think Joey's still in that vulnerable position where he's got to kind of play it safe. And I think if you're Paul Witt at this point, and this might be what you're seeing, well, I was going to say you're probably pretty desperate, but you know, he's in an interesting circumstance here. Ideally for Paul Witt, if he can get 2 more cautions here, he should get both of his laps back, assuming he's not in them, as he is the only truck not on the lead lap. But if you start getting those cautions and you get guys involved in them, then maybe he only gets 1 lap back, and then he's stuck fighting for the lucky dog. You don't want that. And in that instance, you would almost expect the 429 truck to try to get racy and maybe go for the lead, but I think he's going to stick with that conservative strategy. It's still pretty early here, and he doesn't want to risk it. We're only about 25% of the way through this race. Ooh, Randy Minomi got a little tight further down there in the back. He was running on the inside of Vicente Guerrero. The 19 of Justin Parham, well, actually Xander Short to start with took over the lead, but now Justin Parham is looking to contend for it. Xander Short is another one of the Max Speed TV drivers, so hey, they're not going to leave Paul Witt all by himself here tonight. And then, of course, Robert Jordan is in the field as well. Leave Vicente, yep, sure enough, Vicente Guerrero is another one of the Max Speed TV drivers. That's going to get him a 3-truck pack tonight. Let's go through the running order from front to back. We haven't talked about it, and I think now's a good time because these guys are kind of getting lined up. There's Paul Witt, who we saw towards the middle of the pack, currently sitting 2 laps down. But he's got a clean truck. He's just got to try to compose himself. It would be a heck of a comeback story if he could make it happen. Richard Hurst in 18th had trouble earlier in the 76 when he got through the grass, and it's looking like the front end of that thing may still be a little banged up, and that might be what's preventing him from making any progress right here. Sure enough, it is. Yeah, the hood is destroyed on that thing. It is not very aerodynamic, to say the least. But speaking of Richard Hurst, you know, this guy, Southern Broadcast Gaming Network, was a heck of a network. This guy puts on some amazing stuff. In fact, the Final Four, I'm not sure if he did it for the Super Speedway, but he was making these playoff banners for these guys. And it was some extremely impressive stuff. If you haven't seen it, go check it out in the NOMA Discord. And he may have it on his own broadcast. Speaking of banners, I was going to try to have some tonight from the ones that were pre-made. Again, I'm not the best when it comes to graphic design by any means. But there was only some for 2 out of the 4 playoff drivers that I saw. And that was, I didn't want to, you know, do half and half, so we just went ahead and not did it. Instead, we set up the driver info for him. But hey, Richard Hurst, he's made a step now over to NOMA TV, a new broadcasting channel. You should go check them out as well. There's Robert Jordan running in 17th. John Bell back here in 16th. Boy, he has had a rough race so far to start, back 11 spots from where he started. Robert E. Morrison in 15th, Robert Gray in 14th. Albert Hewins was having a good top 10 run until some contact between him and John Bell has sent him a little bit further back. The good news was he didn't get wrecked from that contact. Matthew Fritz just outside the top 10 with his teammate Jay Stinson. Those guys run 11th and 12th. Sam Bowell inside the top 10. Currently sits up 7 from where he started. One of the independent drivers, at least as far as I know of. Randy Minomi, that's a Hickox racing driver. He sits in 9th. Joey Hickox down 5 from where he started and one of the championship 4 contenders, but that doesn't really describe the way his nights went. He is not back here by any means because he doesn't have the speed. He's back here because he's been stuck being conservative since the wreck that he was involved in earlier. Sparked by John Bell up into Kenneth Rittinger. Contact all ensued from there. Vicente Guerrero currently sits in 7th. Matthew Dyer 6th. Kenneth Rittinger still hanging around the top 5. And you know, remember when I said earlier I thought Paul Witt was going to play conservative? But he's not. He's looking like he's going to try to get at least one of these laps back the hard way. And if he could do that, no caution, we make it to the stage break, or even when we get another caution, then he could get both of those laps back here on that caution instead of just one. Rodney Roberts in 4th. Moving on to your podium positions, Ray Zerkut currently sits in 3rd. Ooh, Paul Witt looks like he's going to try to jump to the inside again here of Kenneth Rittinger. Kenneth does not let him go. I'm a little surprised. And that time it looks like Kenneth finally does. I was going to say, you know, you see a lap truck, championship contender or not, racing that aggressive, go get a lap back. I almost say, you know what, go get him, Tiger. And that's what Paul Witt's trying to do right now. Getting up into those podium positions, though, Ray Zerkut is 3rd. Justin Parham, the highest running grandstand racing driver right now, up 6 in 2nd position. And there's Xander Short leading the way here. Up 5 from where he started. Another Max Speed TV driver as well. What I did want to take a look at that we I guess you'd say forgot to do, was who we assume got the stage one. Again, it's unofficial right here. I can't say for certain, but this was coming to lap 31, which is when the stage technically ends. And looking at it from here, it looks like it's going to go to Robert E. Morrison. Yep, sure enough. So Robert E. Morrison wins stage one. Again, there's not any points here on the line for it. But hey, give yourself some bragging rights. Get yourself some momentum potentially to keep getting a good run throughout the rest of this race. Hard to believe. We are not too far through this race by any means. In fact, we're not even halfway yet. We still got 30 laps before. We are well into the nighttime though now, so all these trucks shouldn't have too big of an issue with handling. Chicago's got a pretty good amount of grip, pretty smooth track, and a very, very fast track. In fact, let's look at your weather outside right now to see what it's looking like. Track temp is still sitting at 76, and of course those winds are non-varying in speed or direction. Guys don't have to worry about that. Let's get right on board here with one of your championship 4. How about Kenneth Rittinger, 24, currently sitting in 5th position. He sees Paul Witt still looking for more. Looking to the inside of Ray Zerkut. You know, I said it was smooth. It actually looks a little more bumpier than I thought it was. Definitely not too bad. We got to contend with those bumps. You get this big, long draft down the front stretch. And right here, I'm telling you, turn 1 opens up really, really wide. And you see different entries. Some guys will send it in and try to get to the bottom as soon as possible. Other guys will really back up the entry, maybe save a little tire and try to kind of arc it around. That looked like the approach that Kenneth is kind of taking right now, excuse me. And these two are still fighting to get around Ray Zerkut. Dirty air is definitely not being anybody's friend right now. And it looks like Paul Witt's going to try to take the shortest way around. He dives all the way down to the grass before he slides back up. He's got the inside. Can he make it stick? And then here's your leader, Xander Short. Let's take a look out of the gearbox. He sees those trucks racing side by side behind him, and he likes every bit of that. Not only can he start to create a gap here, but he knows those guys are wasting a lot more tire than he is leading this thing. But he's running the top here, at least through 3 and 4. This is the first time that we've kind of seen the leader try to get the top going. In real life, the top on Chicagoland is a really fast place to be. You carry the most momentum down the straightaways, and Xander Short has opened it up to about 0.6 of a second here. Gonna run that middle line through 1 and 2. It's almost, you kind of see those 4 seams there. And I would say that's kind of representative of 4 different lanes that these guys can run. They are continuing to battle it out here. This is all the battle for second throw. I'd say about 6 to 7 trucks under a blanket here. Then you got the rest of the field single file trying to catch these guys. Looking at the track map. Yeah, everybody's still pretty tight together. The only truck that is hanging way back right now is Richard Hurst. But again, this is just because he's got some damage and he is struggling right now on RPMs. You see 175 down the straightaway. Xander Short is running a whole lot faster than that by himself on the backstretch. He's already almost up to 180. He's back down to 176 down into turn 3. But now he's got the gap up to almost a second. So this is what this is telling me. I mean, again, we talk about it's all about learning throughout the race. If you're this championship 4, the only thing those stage breaks are doing is giving you a chance to reset your strategy, get some tires, get some fuel, clear your head. And I think if you're anybody up there, even Paul Witt, who may not be on the lead lap, Kenneth Rittinger, Joey Hickox, Matthew Dyer. In fact, that is all of your top 4, final 4 rather, in the picture there. Paul Witt, though, the one that looks like he's out in front, is still 2 laps down and continues to fight to try to get one of them back. He's making a decent effort of it as he is technically the 3rd truck right now. He's going to have to pass 2 more, though, if he wants to get a lap back. And now that they did single file out a little bit, you can see Rodney Roberts is starting to track down Xander Shorts again, who had the gap almost up to a second, is back down to 0.6. But what they did note through all of that is that, you know, if you get a late restart here and you can get the lead, if guys are racing behind you, you can kind of pull away. You can take that draft factor out of it and really start to make some progress. Justin Parham has repassed Paul Witt, and you gotta start to wonder, did Paul Witt maybe use up his tires a little bit more than he wanted to, trying to get his way through all of this traffic? We have had a lot of mix-ups early, and if you are just tuning in, let's go back real quick and take a look at some of the mix-ups that I'm talking about. This was the first caution of the night, And this collected 2 of your championship contenders earlier, Joey Hickox and Kenneth Riedinger. You're going to see the 5 here of John Bell. He's going to get on the apron and just get tight from it. Loses the nose, gets up into 24, into the 31. They both go around. Those were big hits for both of those drivers. Kenneth Riedinger and Joey Hickox both had to use a fast repair after this incident, and it has changed the course of their races so far. Kenneth Riedinger has recovered nicely. So is Joey Hickox. Kenneth Riedinger is currently running higher. And then we had the second incident, the second yellow, and just when you think enough trouble for the playoff drivers, think again, because this one collects Paul Witt, and he takes about 3 times the damage of the other ones. Little net code right hooks him into the wall. Contact with Justin Parham. Not actual contact, the net code contact, though. Destroys the 429 truck, causes him to have to tow it. And the pay for that tow bill is going to be 2 laps, which he currently still sits down. Hasn't been able to get it back just yet. We had another yellow flag after that. This was for a solo spin by John Bell. Second incident he's been involved in tonight here. Got maybe some slight contact here with the right side of Albert Hewins. Backed that 5 machine into the wall. And after that, we finished off stage 1. We saw Robert E. Morrison. He got the win for that first stage. Since then, he's fallen back a little bit further than he would like. And that would lead us back to the green flag here, and then back to the point that we are at now. Oh, we got a slow truck. That's Justin Parham. Oh, he's taking some big contact. Both sides of that truck are banged up. What has happened here? 60 laps in. Was this recent, or was this a lap or so ago? And this looks like, oh man, they're 3 wide here. Off of turn 4, the 19's just getting a little tight here. Almost gets into the outside wall. And then something happens here with Ray Zercut and Vicente Guerrero. They both go up the track. Justin Parham with nowhere to go, and Ray Zercut just absolutely disappears. And I don't even know what happened to him after that. My goodness, was that a massive, massive impact. Started to fly, and I'm not sure if he towed or just left. Either way, let's go. Let's back this up. Was this some more netcode, or did he might have had a technical difficulty. Yeah, that thing really jerked right all of a sudden. Let's look at the chopper view. They're running fine, and then... Whew. And I think everybody knows what I'm thinking there. It almost looks like, yet again, a little more netcode. The only way we're going to really know, though, is if we take a ride on board with Ray Zercut here. His yellow flag's out, so hold that thought. Let's go back live here. And what has happened here? Looks like it was Justin Parham yet again. And he has towed it at this point. So we're not even exactly sure what's happened just yet. So let's go ahead and back it up. But I want to back it up to where I was just talking about, I guess I should say. So we're going to go back. So basically that little bit of contact there caused a lot of damage to Justin Parham's truck. And I'm not sure if he stayed out and made more contact here, if the caution was something different. This is down into 3 and 4. Looks like no harm, no foul. Running down the front straightaway. He was slow at this point, but looked like the caution was already out. So I'm not sure if this was a caution thrown because of that event that ensued, you know, before this, a couple laps before this, or what the deal was. But checking at it one more time. Yeah, the yellow flag's out at this point. So you have to assume this was left over from the last accident. And I wanted to take one more view of this from the cockpit of Ray Zercut. And watch here. It looks like there's going to be just slight hop in the wheel. Yep, sure enough, just kind of like getting turned. Getting right reared, excuse me, but that's not really what it actually was so much. So it was more or less netcode. We'll take a view here again from the left front as well of Vicente Guerrero. Watch closely here. This one's a little closer, so it might be hard to see. The camera might get glitched in. Really, really close, really, really close. No contact yet, and then you can't really see it anymore. At that point, 15 is up into the 19 of Justin Parham, and rest is history. But after this, the caution flew a decent amount later. In fact, watch for the caution lights. You see them throughout the track, and we're going to keep an eye on Justin Parham here to see when we see those caution lights on. Still green at this point, still green. So it's looking like they're going to go a little while here before the yellow finally flies. Still green. I didn't see anybody else getting an accident. And there's the yellow. So you got to assume that might have been a manual thrown by race control. I think I like that call because that was a wreck. I mean, it doesn't matter the way you look at it. At the end of the day, that was a wreck, and it probably should have been a caution. Shuffles up the order a bit. That's what it does now. First place, Robert E. Morrison again. Got himself up 17 positions, at least for this restart. Xander Short back to second. Rodney Robertson third. Kenneth Rittinger back up to fourth now. The current leader in the championship battle, Matthew Dyer, running second in that battle. He's in fifth. Sam Boutwell sixth. Joey Hickox third in the battle in seventh. Jay Stinson 8th, Albert Hewins 9th, and Randy Bonomi rounding out the top 10. Paul Witt currently in 17th. The good news, though, is he did get the lucky dog, and he is now only one lap down, a lot more manageable than what was two just a short time ago. And I think we're going to get the one-to-go signal this time. Let's get an interview with another one of your drivers. Let's see if we can, you know what, I'll tell you what, we're going to hold Paul Witt off here for now because, you know, he's still got a lot of work ahead of him. Let's talk to Joey Hickox. You got to assume he's on the similar strategy right now to what Kenneth Rittinger's doing. See if we can get a quick word. All right, championship 4 contender, Joey Hickox. Hey, Joey, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, we talked to Kenneth earlier, and I feel like you and him are kind of in the same boat. I mean, first of all, what was going through your mind on that first wreck?
I don't know, man. Just don't really know why we were running 3 wide on lap whatever it was. It's too early in the race for all that.
Well, you have to kind of play it conservative. We know that. Do you try to get any track position to set yourself up for stage 3, or do you kind of wait until we get maybe halfway through that stage 3 to start making your way towards the front?
Well, I like clean air, so if I can get out to clean air, the truck runs just so much better through that. So if I can get the track position now, I'll take it. And you know, we didn't come here to run second, so we're not gonna hold back. We're just gonna go get what we can and let the chips fall where they may.
Well, we talked about it earlier. You're still looking for that first win of the season. Boy, tonight would be the place to get it done. Good luck the rest of the way.
All right, thank you, sir.
Joey Hickox going to be restarting 8th here on row 4. The inside, so actually 7th. But Robert E. Morrison here. Seems like he's always out in front at some point during the race. He tries some strategy play a lot of times, and it works out well. Like to see this here from Robert E. Morrison. 65 laps in. Again, second stage is scheduled to end on lap 90. So these guys should all be able to make it on fuel the rest of the way, at least through stage 2. Robert E. Morrison gets a good jump. Rodney Roberts trailing behind. Now he's going to dive to the inside. Does Xander Shorts follow? He's going to think about 3 wide now. He does duck in behind the 45. And just like that, fresher tires are going to prevail here. The 24 of Kenneth Rittinger. This is a good shot here, I feel like, for him to go to the lead now that he's up in 3rd. He's got 2 really respectable and fast guys in front of him, so he's going to have to work for it. But he's also going to have to worry about his teammate, Matthew Dyer, who's behind. Oh, the 45 gets loose. Big save, maybe. Can he hold it? He does. That's Rodney Roberts in the 45. Oh, my goodness. That was another heart-stopping moment for some of the championship contenders as he got completely out of shape. Oh, now Jay Stinson. That got really tight there as he tries to split the gap 3 wide through 1 and 2. Rodney Roberts, I think, is going to be able to recover from this. These guys are still trying to sort it out, though. The 43, Robert E. Morrison, is going to fade. That's going to put it back down to 2 wide. Wow, was that close. Let's back this all the way up that lap and take a look at it. I mean, my goodness. These guys continue to make my job a lot more stressful than I feel like should be up here in the booth. Watch this. Let's go to TV2 here. And it just starts coming around on him. Didn't really, I mean, he's got the cleanest air. We know that, and maybe that's part of it. The front sure was sticking. Actually, maybe wobbles a little bit, so I'm going to take that back. Seemed like the front was sticking overall. Oh, I think he might clip the apron here. Watch. There's 2 tires. Oh, he does. Sure enough, that's exactly what we saw with John Bell earlier. That apron is very unforgiving here. The transition is by no means friendly, and again, loses the nose, chases it up, then the back end comes around. That was a big evasive maneuver from Matthew Dyer to miss. An almost spinning Rodney Roberts, who again does a heck of a job saving it. It's right on board with Matthew Dyer. This is one of your championship contenders. Getting a view that was maybe a little too close for his comfort right here. Back this up a little bit further if we can here. And actually, it looks like, well, either way, this is a little bit farther back than that. This was not the actual incident. Either way, we're going to go back live up front because the action has continued to stay heated. Xander Short is leading. Kenneth Rinninger has his chance to take the lead here for the first time tonight. And is he going to go for it? He is. The 24 ducks to the inside, similar to Joey Hickox and Matthew Dyer, who are all up here in the top 5. He wants to get himself some clean air, dives it down low. Can he get clear? He's got to slide up. Xander Short's going to have a good run, but I think that's a smart move. Kenneth Rinninger was trying to break the draft, but the 12 gets a little side draft, and he's going to get back to even as they enter 1. And now that Joey Hickox and Matthew Dyer are back in this battle, it's about 25 laps to go when we went back green. So I think you still maybe try to save a little bit of tire here. I don't think you got to save much. And I am noticing if you will, Joey Hickox, who I feel like we're pretty sure, I should have asked him one thing, used his fast repair already. And it looks like there is some damage to the right front of his truck. Actually kind of all over the front. I wouldn't think that was from the last wreck. I guess it could be though. Oh man, Rodney Roberts with a big run going back to the inside. The 45 looks like he got shot out of a cannon after almost spinning and falling as far back as he did. But you gotta wonder if that damage is gonna hurt Joey at all here as he tucks in behind the 45 looking for a draft. Kenneth Rinninger is now on the top side. Xander Short has taken the bottom. The Ford Performance F-150, and Sam Boutwell, first time up here cracking the top 3 tonight, up 14 positions from where he started. Another driver with a pretty good playoff run, couldn't quite make it to the final 4. Could add to a win list here tonight if he can get one. But with Kenneth Rinninger out in front for the first time tonight, this is only the second championship driver to lead the field tonight. Paul Witt got close a couple times. Unless I might be forgetting something. But we saw Ray Zerkut holding that battle off, at least for the most part. But Kenneth Rinninger here, it looks like Xander Short starting to fade just a little bit as Sam Boutwell has now taken over second. And I'm still in shock here at how quick Rodney Roberts was able to recover and get not only all the way back up to these guys, but looking for more here as he's going to go to the inside of Xander Short. And Sam Boutwell, this is really interesting looking. You see they're running 3 different lines, and their lines are only varying about half a lane. You saw Kenneth Rinninger, and then you saw the 47 poked out by about half a truck on the right side. And then the 12 of Xander Short was poked about another half truck right of him. And this time they're going to switch it. The 47 is going to go a little bit lower. The 12 is going to go a little bit higher. And it just kind of stalls out. That's what you get here at Chicago, as we are now going to be coming to 15 laps to go in stage 2. Going back a little bit further here, Joey Hickox still holding that second position in the championship battle, 5th. You got to wonder, is he saving some tire? You can pretty much assume that Matthew Dyer most likely is. And I feel like you would think this track is definitely his style. We saw him with a great qualifying effort, snatching the pole. And he's ran fast when he's wanted to. Again, I think he's continuing to try to just play this conservative. And in fact, he is the only remaining Championship 4 driver to still have a fast repair. All 3 others have had to use one with trouble at some point. And, oh man, Jay Stinson tags the outside wall out of turn 4. No harm, no foul, but he's going to definitely get some scrapes on the right side of that 13 machine. But going back to Matthew Dyer, this track, although it's not 2 miles, it drives pretty similar to Auto Club. A lot of speeds. The draft is a big influence. You're almost wide open through those corners, so I'm still curious to see if we can get a long enough run to see green flag stops, just how much the tire fall off is. Guys running 31.6s right now. But again, the tire's still not too bad, all things considered. But up front, the battle for the lead has not simmered down too much just yet. Kenneth Rinninger is still leading the way here. But Xander Short is going to try to go to the inside. And this is a testament to see if that inside has any speed now. He tried the shortest way around, but it doesn't work. You see the 24 just gets that big run down the straightaway. There's just not much Xander Short can really do with that. But even if you're not one of the Championship 4, you're taking notes, and Xander Short sees that. And, you know, maybe if he gets another run here, he tries to force it to the outside instead of the inside. Look how much he closes up, though, down the front stretch. He was about 2 trucks back, almost gets to the back bumper of Rinninger into turn 1. And then trying to find a little clean air. Rinninger's trying to cut him off, but the 12 gets a little bit lower. That was a really good set of corners from Xander Short. and he's going to hang that same gap. Rodney Roberts has kind of come to a stop here in the sense of he flew all the way back up, got up to about 5th, and then got 4th, and has kind of just stopped there. But I mean, hey, when you make a run that aggressive back to the field, you got to wonder how much more can the tires really take. Just tuning in again, we appreciate you being out here for NOMA Championship Night, the final race of the season. And how about a shout out to the track that they picked? You know, I think this is one of the best places they could have held a championship battle, because and I know everybody's different about it, and if you're one of those drivers that's really good on the technical tracks, you got to feel a lot better, but it's kind of a mix here at Chicagoland. You don't have to necessarily be perfect on every track. You know, that's what the draft kind of helps out with here, but you still have to know how to run the track right. And you can see that experience showing right here with Kenneth Rittinger, who is still holding off a very aggressive Xander Short, who continues to try to fight for the lead here with 10 laps to go in stage 2. And we are now officially halfway through this 160 lap event. Do the miles on that, it is definitely a pretty long race. Over 200 miles is always a long one, and it's probably 225 to 250 range if I had to guess. More like 225, a little more actually, but it's been fun to watch so far here tonight. It certainly has not disappointed up to this point, and assuming we still have all of the final 4 running at the end of this thing, things could get really, really crazy as Joey Hickox, who I was wondering if saved a little bit tired, he's starting to charge up here towards the end. In the draft of Rodney Roberts, he's going to get clear of Sam Boutwell, maybe not quite yet, but they're leaving the top open, and he's ripping it. The 31 getting some speed going. Matthew Dyer, another driver that I'm wondering if he's saving tire. At what point does he decide to go to the front? And this is what you got to keep an eye on as well. Paul Witt is the lucky dog right now. Robert E. Morrison is pretty far back. Yeah, he must have a damaged truck or something. So Paul Witt, I take that back, shouldn't have to worry about much here, as long as he can keep that truck clean for what's going to be 7 more laps when we hit the line this next time. If he can do so, he would get another lucky dog. He could still pit, and that would put him back on the lead lap and on the same strategy as the leaders. The only downside of it is that it would put him in the back of the longest line. So he would still have a lot of work ahead of him, but all he needs is a chance. We've seen this guy perform before when the lights are at their brightest, and I think he could pull off one of the craziest comebacks here in NOMA history if he could somehow win this thing after being 2 laps down at one point. These two are starting to check out on the field a little bit. As these tires start to wear out, you're starting to see a little bit of clean air, and the guys that did a better job with their tires prevail. Kenneth Rittinger and Xander Short have, I'd say, almost half a second, probably a little bit under 4/10 of a gap over 3rd place Rodney Roberts. And then Joey Hickox, who really closed up, has fallen a 4 or 5 truck lengths now off the back bumper of Rodney Roberts. That could be a little bit of that aero damage on the front end hurting him as well. Sam Boutwell back here still running in the top 5, and then Matthew Dyer looks like he's getting ready to start making his charge. I don't think he's going to have enough time to charge all the way back to the front, but he might be able to pick off another position or 2 here before they all come in to take tires for the restart for stage 3. After these guys, it's still a scramble, almost like we got 2 separate races. The guys up front are kind of racing themselves, all single file. These guys continue to race each other. Albert Hewins and a slightly damaged Jay Stinson going side by side into one just behind them. A couple of Jay's teammates, Matthew Fritz and Randy Bonomi for Hickox Racing. And there is Paul Witt in the 429 just behind these guys, hoping that nobody has any trouble right now. Randy Bonomi, Robert Jordan, Vicente Guerrero, John Bell. And that's where the field really starts to get spread out. And this is because we've had certain trucks get damaged. And John Bell, Robert Gray as well. Guys that are sitting pretty far back from the lead pack, trying to race around each other just a little bit. And then there's a damaged Richard Hurst, who's been struggling ever since. He sits, I'd say, just under half the track back from the leaders. And there's Paul Witt in that lead pack. Robert E. Morrison is going to be the first truck lapped. He's just got to try to hold them all off for another 2 laps or so, 3 laps rather, but I don't know if he's going to have the speed to do it. That truck is really struggling. I didn't think the right side damage was that bad, but man, they caught him in a hurry after he led the restart. And there is your current leader, Kenneth Rittinger. Xander Short has fallen off his bumper now a little bit, and that's going to continue to fade. Again, keeping that notebook out. I see right here that clean air over a long run seemed to be what you need to stay out in front. Everybody's really even and really racy early on, but The guys that saved tire are the guys that are looking like they're going to finish in the top 5 here, as Matthew Dyer has taken that position away from Sam Boutwell. So that now moves him up a spot. He still stays in 3rd in the championship battle. His next target is going to be Joey Hickox, currently 2nd in the championship battle, and all 3 of those guys, Paul Witt as well, they're all trying to chase Kenneth Rittinger right now. Oh, we got one spinning. Oh, that looked like Robert E. Morrison. Is this going to draw the caution? It does. Oh, big hit. Jay Stinson's involved. He took a huge shot into the side of the 43, had nowhere to go. You got to hope this didn't collect any of the championship contenders. I couldn't tell initially. Oh, and they were just lapping Robert here. Man, what happens? Does he just get tight here? Oh, looks like this is odd looking. Watch the front tires. This is what catches my eye here. Looks like they're locked to the left. Yeah, they're locked to the left. It's just not turning. Did he maybe blow a tire? And, oh, man, Xander Shorts could not check up. Hits the wall. Comes to a dead standstill. Somebody goes under him, and then Jay Stinson T-bones him. I wonder if this was this would be a first for me if this was the case. I wonder if he blew a tire here. Or what happens? Let's see. I tell you what, I almost think he has. I'm going to say he blew a tire here. Looks like maybe a right front. You got to wonder, was that part of the strategy? Or because I just can't see anything else that this could be. You see, I mean, he's running the corner pretty normal compared to the rest of the field in the sense of he lets off here on entry, plenty of time. He might have been just trying to survive to the stage, and then watch right here. Turning the wheel. It's got it full 90-degree lock. It's just not turning. Blown tire, and then he's going to slightly bounce off the wall. Oh, man, that's a tough break. Watch this. Xander Short, another fast truck. Couldn't check up. Rodney Roberts, he's going to get pretty big front end damage. Now, somebody goes under him right here. Watch this. The 31 of Joey Hickox. And then the 2 of Matthew Dyer as well. All 3 of those trucks. Probably wondering what in the world did they just witness. And then there's Jay Stinson. Just nowhere to go. And that is going to total probably a few trucks, especially the 43 of Robert E. Morrison. We have got to ride on board here with Matthew Dyer. Oh my goodness, did he have a close call on this or what? Watch this. Wow, that was really close. Xander Short starts spinning again. And another good evasive maneuver. Misses him again. Let's see if we can ride on board with Sam Boutwell as well. He had a near miss. Looked like it was maybe a little closer for the 47. Here we go. Wow, that was close. But man, Matthew Dyer went under a flying truck. So if he can win the championship race, that's certainly something to add to the highlight reel. Wow. I think that's the one word to sum this up so far. We are going to complete the stage here under caution. Kenneth Rittinger does get your stage 2 win. And now I think it's time for him to try to maintain that lead for the rest of the way. Rodney Roberts 2nd, Joey Hickox 3rd, Sam Boutwell 4th. Matthew Dyer currently sits in 5th. Paul Witt got the lucky dog, I do believe, here. So this should put him back on the lead lap, and he is now back in contention, currently sitting on pit road, getting the tires from it. And let's see if we can go get an interview right now from your 4th championship 4 contender, who's now back in it with a shot to win this thing. Let's go see if we can pull him up here from Max Speed TV booth. Hey, Paul, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Sure do, Austin. I got you, buddy.
Well, man, crazy race for just about all the championship 4 contenders. Let's start first with that accident that happened. What were you thinking when you got right hooked? I know it wasn't. Well, let me back that up for just a second. It looked like net code from what we saw up here. What did it look like from your view?
That I got turned.
Well,
I mean, from my view, that's the way it looks. It looks like I got turned. But I mean, I've never seen the replay yet, so I don't really know. But I won't know until I actually go back and look at it.
Well, I guess the good news then that we can kind of say from what it looked like up here in the booth, it looked like you guys actually had probably about a foot of net code between you. Either way, it was a tough break, but hey, you kept fighting. You got both of your laps back here, looks like, and now is it go time?
Well, the whole thing is we're real close on fuel. You can only do about 31, 32 laps on fuel. So if I can save enough being back in the draft, I should be able to do it on one stop, and it'll be go time once I get that stop done.
All right, so some strategy play. All right, interesting. Well, you're going to be fun to watch then the rest of the way. Good luck.
All right, thanks. Yeah, you know, I know I got a fast truck to get up there. I've gone up there several times. I tried to get my lap back the old-fashioned way and almost prevailed on it. So I got a fast truck. I just got to keep it under me.
All right, well, good luck the rest of the day, man.
Thanks, Austin. Appreciate it.
Paul Witt, and you know, that's kind of what we saw earlier. We talked about he had two strategy options, and and I put him down to the wrong things. We go back green, so we'll put him back at the right one in just a second. Go back up front here. Green flag is in the air for Kenneth Rinnier, who got a huge jump on the rest of the field. Saw Paul Witt tailing on the back end, and I'm gonna make sure that I put Paul Witt back on his team. There we go. All right, so Kenneth Rinnier leads the way here. Joey Hickox, good restart for him. He slides up into second. This is huge because that moves him now with no truck separating him from him and the leader in the championship for battle right now, Kenneth Rinnier. I think Matthew Dyer saw that move from Joey Hickox. He's going to try to do the same thing. Joey's getting really loose off of 4. He has to get out of it. That's going to give Rodney Roberts a chance to make a move. He's going to. The 45 dives to the inside. All this is what Kenneth Rinnier wants to see in his back bumper right now. In his rearview mirror, rather. And Rodney Roberts is going to take that position away. Paul Witt going to be trying to save some fuel, so, you know, he said about 32 laps. That's if you're saving. Yeah, that would be really, really close on if guys could make it. If we get a caution at any point, that would make it a solid one stop. And if we were to get another one, these guys may have a sprint to the finish, all depending on how things play out. 96 of 160 complete. We are going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break, but we will stay side by side in the NOMA Championship race so you don't miss a thing. Back live here at Chicagoland Speedway, where the race for first has not calmed down since we went to break. Kenneth Rinnier and Rodney Roberts continue to try to battle it out. I think Kenneth Rininger liked how much that clean air meant for him on the last run, so he's trying to do the same thing on this one. Rodney Roberts, he may not be a championship 4 contender, but he also knows he's got a fast truck here tonight, and he wants to lead just as much. And I think if you're Joey Hickox, you have to like what you're seeing right now out of your front windshield, because you know these guys are working some extra tire. And if you're Paul Witt, I think you also like what you're seeing right now, because you're not saving any fuel right now if you're anywhere near the front. We can see that for sure. Robert Morrison is retired from the race, by the way. Xander Short as well. But going back here, I mainly went back here to check on Paul Witt, who said he'd be saving. Let's ride on board and see what the throttle trace sounds like. And by the sound of it, it doesn't sound like he's doing anything super egregious to save. You know, of course, you do save if you're in the draft in general. I mean, you got trucks in front of you braking the air. You don't have to run as much throttle to keep up, but I don't know, man. It's going to be really close. It seems like the front guys, you know, Matthew Dyer, Joey Hickox, Kenneth Rininger, unless I'm missing something, I don't see them saving any fuel either, especially Kenneth Rininger, who is finally going to have to give that position to Rodney Roberts. Boy, they battled for at least a handful of laps or so, and we'll see how much that hurt the tires on the 24 and 45 truck. Rodney Roberts, Rodney Rocket Ship tonight, man, he has been absolutely flying. We saw him get loose on the last green flag run. All of a sudden, falls back 8-10 positions. 5 laps later, he's back right where he started, towards the front. So, man, oh, man. And how about Matthew Dyer as well? Look at the paint scheme he's rocking tonight. Looks like Nightfall graphics, and that is a good-looking 2 truck, to say the least. He currently runs in front of Albert Hewins in 4th. So your championship 3, well, 4, but your top 3 for your championship 4, I should say, are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And then Paul Witt, again, slowly but surely working his way back up here. He's got to be really smart about his moves, because he's already burning extra tire. And he said he's close on fuel, so he certainly wants to save some on his trip back towards the front. If we get a caution, though, and you give Paul Witt a chance to get back up there, he's going to make these guys work for it. And Rodney Roberts is going to try to start stretching a little bit of a gap out here. About 3/10 now over Kenneth Rininger. Joey Hickox still in 3rd. He's working the top line. And that's the lane he seems to have preferred so far for most of the night. Matthew Dyer hanging around in the top 5 and 4th. Down 3 from where he started, of course, got the pole. We saw Robert E. Morrison get the stage 1 win from what it looks like. We saw Kenneth Rininger get the stage 2 win. But we are still going to find out who is going to be crowned the championship. You know, interesting enough, the other rounds of the playoffs, it wasn't winning or in. It went by points. So these guys, you know, they couldn't just worry about if they had a good race like Paul Witt. Because, you know, we saw him have a really rough race after that. And he ended up 4th in the championship 4 battle because of those races that didn't go so well after the one he won. So guys had to work extra hard to get here. But that changed tonight with the format of, you know, the guy that finishes the highest, they are the championship winner. There's no points for the stages tonight. There's no points overall on leading laps, etc. It's just straight up which one of these 4 are going to take the checkered flag first. And right now, it's looking like Kenneth Rininger. I got to say, early on, Paul Witt, well, I mean, from qualifying, it looked like Matthew Dyer was going to be the strongest early on after he gave up the lead. It looked like Paul Witt was the new fastest truck in town. He faded. Then we saw Kenneth Rininger take the lead. Well, he didn't fade. I take that back. He got wrecked. And then he was kind of stuck in the back, so he couldn't really do much since then. Got both of his laps back, and from that time on, Kenneth Rininger has seemed like the most dominant truck now. But as Joey Hickox has done every week of the season, just about every point we've looked at him the last, I'd say, about 60 laps or so, he's been up here in the top 5, consistently getting closer to first. Now he's been in the top 3 the last 20 to 30 laps, and just continues to be that consistency being shown out of the Hickox Racing driver in the 31 Flatwoods machine. Back here, Jay Stinson, his teammate, after getting that right side damage. Jay is not, well, I was going to say he doesn't, you know, we know he probably had to use a fast repair in that contact that he made with Robert E. Morrison, but that damage still hasn't seemed to affect him too bad, that right side damage that it is. And now it looks like Kenneth Rininger starting to close it back down now, and this could be part of the experience level. Both of these guys a little bit more veteran-like in the league, at least in the way they drive and the speed they show week in and week out. But I think Kenneth Rininger, although fought him pretty hard, made sure that he didn't use up too much tire, and maybe looking for another pass here in about a lap or so. You see it's about 2/10 off the turn. Down the straightaway, he's able to gain at least half a tenth. The front straightaway, that's going to be more like a tenth, as it's quite a bit longer than the back straightaway here. Rounded straightaway nonetheless, and he can take the apron if he wants to, but we haven't seen it that much. And that's kind of interesting in the sense of, you got to wonder, does it maybe slightly wear these guys' tires out a little more? I know the idea of if you're behind another truck's draft, there's no point in trying to go lower. Just use the draft to your advantage. And he's there. He is going to make a move this time on the inside. Gets a little bit of a side draft on the left rear, and he's going to see if he can pull off a slide job down here into 3 and 4. And it looks like he's going to get clear, has to slide up. Can Rodney Roberts do a crossover? It looks like he can't. So just about as quick as he lost it, tracks him back down and reclaims the lead, does Kenneth Riedinger. Rodney Roberts now falls to second. Joey Hickok still in third. Matthew Dyer still in fourth, but he looks like he is now closing up to the back of Joey Hickox. And this could be the first long green flag run of the race. That could be why you're seeing all these guys start to catch up now. Again, that last pit stop for the guys that can make it, or borderline at least, I think you'll see that pit stop come somewhere around lap 120, 128, maybe 129 to play it safe, if anybody can go that long, that is. But any of these guys that are committing to a two-stop strategy this stage, maybe they go in a little bit earlier, get 4 fresh tires, get out here, and then on that second stop, I don't expect to see them take any tires. I think they'll just try to run as long and as fast as they can. Go in, maybe just take a splash of fuel, if anything, and be good to go. Matthew Dyer looking to the inside now of Joey Hickox. This is for third position. Not quite going to get it yet. Looks like these two might have to battle for a lap. So nope, looks like Joey's going to have to give it up. Matthew Dyer, first long run here, and he's starting to show where his strength is. Joey's not going to be able to really fight back down into turn 1, and now the two sets his sights on the 45 and the 24, who sit a decent amount in front of him, looking like it is going to be about a second or so that he's going to have to make up before he'll get to the back bumper, the 45. The good news is he's really borderline on being in that draft, and he's probably just getting a little sniff of the draft from where he sits right now, but once he gets to about 7/10 of a second or closer is when he's really going to start to reel in these guys. But Rodney Roberts looks like he's starting to fade here. Kenneth Riedinger is looking to do what he does best, and that is pull away from the field. Of course, going to have one more pit stop, and I stress this for the whole field, but especially if you're in the championship 4. You cannot mess up this pit stop. It doesn't matter how many times you've practiced all season, how many times you've messed up all season. If there's one time that you're going to have a perfect pit stop, getting in your box, getting out, and making it back on the track, it is going to have to be tonight. These guys could have had a chance to practice that in stage 2, but unfortunately we had cautions that broke it up, so this will be the first green flag stop of the night if we can make it there. And that always has to worry you a little bit as a driver, but Kenneth Riedinger, by building up this lead, he'll have the option to take pit road a lot more conservative than anybody else will. And he doesn't really have to worry as much about making a mistake. No point in trying to, lock up the tires, getting in there at max speed. Slow it down a little bit. He looks like he's got, a second and a half gap over the second place championship contender of Matthew Dyer, who currently sits third on track. But if you're Matthew Dyer and Joey Hickox, then you know that your best chance here is you're going to kind of have to go for it on your pit stop. Maybe put it in there a little bit harder than you normally would. Kind of hope it sticks, but you can't get a penalty either. You get one of those, you go a lap down. Even if we get a caution, your race still might be over. And I say that because we have put a couple of lap down, and in fact, it looks like Paul Witt is being scored a lap down here. So I've been mistaken. It looks like, at least it looks like at this point, and I would apologize for that if that's the case, but, we had the one caution. I thought for sure Paul Witt had got his lap back on that. I didn't think he had any contact with anybody, but it looks like the scoring is showing him a lap down right now. And that changes up a lot for him, because that means he has to get his lap back the hard way, unless... I'll tell you what, he's flying through the field here. Maybe he tried some strategy play. All right, so hold on just a second here. Before we confuse anybody any farther, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way by looking... Ooh, looks like Paul Witt has pit. That's what has happened here. Paul Witt has decided to pit. That's the only reason he is currently being shown a lap down. He did get that lap back. So this is some strategy here from the 429. he might think, you know what, let's take a look at his lap times before we go any farther. This is a very bold strategy, but that might be what it's going to take. So Paul Witt ran, looks like on those new tires, he had some 39s, 31.3, 31.8. So we're going to call those fast laps the 31.9s and the 31.1s. Compare that to your leader right now, Kenneth Rittinger. Oh man, that is a huge difference. That's a really, really big difference on time for tires. So with everybody having to make a two-stop in general, Paul Witt is going to try to pit early, and this is going to start to slowly but surely draw other guys down. So at this point, if you're Kenneth Rittinger or any of those other guys, do you think you can make it on one stop, or do you have to commit to just pitting twice? Jay Stinson looks like he's in pit road now. Joey Hickox, I think, has now also entered pit road. We are seeing a lot of the leaders here coming to the pits. And I think we'll see this draw down Kenneth Rittinger, maybe a couple others. And at this point, none of these guys that are pitting right now, none of them can make it the rest of the way. It doesn't matter how hard you try to save. It's just not happening. The fuel window was 28 to 32 laps. And we still got just under 40 to go. More like 39. Actually, 40 to go right now. Now 39 to go. So nobody can make it for sure, as it looks like Wildcat in the chat says this is the 43. So Robert E. Morrison's letting us know that the tires blew. Was going to try to stay one lap down on my start, but the truck entered corner and didn't turn. And I went to the moon. And sure enough, that's what we figured. But Ed, thank you for coming in and confirming that. And you know what? And all the time I've done broadcasting, that is the first time I've ever seen a tire blown. And interesting look, to say the least. Rodney Roberts still in second. Kenneth Rittinger still leading, and they're still out on track as well. Matthew Dyer now in third and has moved up a position in that championship battle, now up to second. Paul Witt has gotten his lap back. And I think Paul Witt certainly probably doesn't want to see a caution right now, but if you're Kenneth Rittinger, you would certainly appreciate seeing a caution right now. And you could maybe trap a driver like Joey Hickox a lap down, although he would probably get the wave round. But either way, pit cycle is always a sketchy time, especially for the championship four. You don't want something to happen that's out of your control that, you know, potentially cost you a chance at that championship. And as we continue to await pit stops from the rest of your leaders, now's a good time to take a quick look at the announcements that we have here. The Season 4 schedule for the NOMA Truck Series has been released, and boy, it has got a good-looking schedule on it. We're going to start with the Clash at Daytona, then we head to actual Daytona to kick off the season. More off weeks this season as well. Some other tracks to highlight: Nashville Super Speedway Auto Club. Those are two really good ones. Looks like they are going to go to Miami. Indy, that's always a fun one. Talladega. All-Star Race going to be changed up. It's going to be at New Atlanta this year. That's going to be a fun event for sure. And then the playoff tracks are absolutely, I would say, perfection in my book. I know a lot of these guys might have different views, but we're going to start the round of 16 with two very fast tracks. How about Michigan, the big 2-mile D-shaped oval, and then Kansas. The round of 8, we head to Las Vegas, another great track on off week, and then back to the track we're at tonight, Chicagoland. Another big difference being that the championship 4 race is going to be at Texas, and that is a lot more technical of a 1.5 miles than Chicagoland here is tonight. And as we go back live, Kenneth Rittinger just finishing up his stop. Hands the lead over to Matthew Dyer, who is just now coming into pit road as well. And it's, yeah, so nobody's going to make it still. Seeing if there's anybody out that somehow, some way can try some strategy. Maybe now Richard Hurst, he's got too much damage as well. Strategy would not work out for him, so everybody's going to have to pit one more time. The question is, when do you do it? And do we see any, I mean, you know, as much as tires are worth here, do you maybe think about running them really aggressive for a certain amount of laps and then coming in immediately and trying to take maybe 4 or 2, you know, try to make up some position? Maybe we see that from Paul Witt, and maybe not. It's really hard to say. Or do you try to just run this thing out as long as you can and then just come in for just a splash of fuel? What I will say is Paul Witt has found himself really far out in front right now of Joey Hickox. In fact, it looks like the gap between him and Joey is about 7 seconds right now. Of course, he's going to track him down pretty quick. Once they kind of get going, the tire fall off is really, really severe here at Chicago. And then Kenneth Rittinger, who is currently sitting third in the championship battle, you got to assume he's going to be able to track down Joey eventually. And sitting last in the championship battle right now is going to be Matthew Dyer. He currently sits in 10th position, and he's also got to try to track these guys down. Seems like everybody's done okay so far in their pit stops. I haven't seen anything out of the ordinary. So right now, man, Paul Witt is looking to pull off the craziest comeback, but Joey Hickox, I'm telling you, he is absolutely stalking him down. Closing it up at almost 2 seconds a lap, it looks like. And that's just the effect of those new tires. In fact, see if we can compare it here. The two leaders looking at the lap times here. Paul Witt, yeah, man, he really used up those tires. Already into the 32s, almost mid-32s. You compare that to Joey Hickox, who isn't quite on brand new tires, but still a lot newer. 38s a few laps ago, now currently running 31 flats. And, yeah, he's definitely tracking him down at almost 2 seconds a lap. So, you know, the strategy kind of works out here a little bit, at least for Paul Witt, but I think overall he's still going to need a caution, or certainly would like a caution to help his strategy pan out. But where does he go from here? You know, does he just go in for fuel? Does he try to take tires again? And if he does take tires, I assume you got to kind of go in a little bit earlier to make sure you have time to use those tires. Interesting strategy, but it certainly works out in the short run as he was able to get himself the lead. Kenneth Rittinger is also tracking down Joey Hickox right now. He's going to sneak by Joey's teammate. That's Jay Stinson in the 13 truck. There's Joey getting ready to go into turn 3, still with a little nose damage. Looks like Cody Nagels is in the chat. Says, let's go max speed. Rooting on a couple of his former teammates, Paul Witt, Vicente Guerrero, one of the Dale Cup teammates as well, and Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan, we didn't talk about him too much tonight. We'd like to give guys a shout out, especially when their time is due, and Robert Jordan has hung in there. And he's having a pretty good run overall tonight. Currently sitting in the top 10, down 1 position from where he started. And he was another driver that just got more consistent as the season went on. I don't know if it was his breakout season that he was looking for, but he certainly has some things that he can work on and build off of taking into season 4. And we'll see if he can maybe get himself his first win. If not tonight, next season, starting us off at Daytona International Speedway, which I always look forward to as a driver. You know, I think that's the best track to kick off a season at. Everybody's kind of has equal opportunity. And if you can get the win there, even if you're one of either the smaller teams or one of the guys that maybe doesn't have a win yet in your career, it can build a lot of confidence for a driver. Not only getting your first win, but getting your win in the biggest way possible at the biggest stage in NASCAR. There's Joey Hickox. They are now in the same picture off of turn 4. Going to work by Robert Gray now, who is also trying to stay out with the newer tires, but he's not going to be able to hold him off any longer. Kenneth Rittinger as well is working his way down into turn 1, and if you're Paul Witt, you can try as hard as you want to block here, but it's just not much you can do. Does he even try to hold up Joey? I think maybe he doesn't, and yeah, sure enough, he's not. He knows that the tire difference is just way too great. Him holding them up isn't going to do much for either of those drivers except let Kenneth Rittinger get back out in front and get away now. He could maybe chop off the 24 here. Couldn't quite get the truck to rotate. It's not even going to be able to hold him up at all. So that's going to put Paul Witt back to 3rd. Now, where is Matthew Dyer at? Looks like he may have had a little bit more of a struggle on his pit stop. And looking at it here, all the way up to 3rd. Matthew Dyer's just now entering turn 1, so he may have struggled on his pit stop, actually. He's really, really far back now, and he only pitted a lap or 2 after Kenneth Rittinger. So all of a sudden, Matthew Dyer might be another driver in trouble here if he can't get a caution. Oh, Paul Witt. Okay, so here we go. He's going to try some strategy play here. We need to keep an eye on this. I got my money on he's going to try to take some tires here. I think you kind of have to right now. Just taking fuel, I just don't think it's going to be enough for the 429 to get back out in front of those guys. But if he takes 4 tires here, he's going to tick off some really, really fast laps. And, you know, it might be just enough to get himself back out in the lead. Let's see what he decides to go with here. And, yep, here we go. He's going to take at least right sides. Does he take 2 or 4? And what do the leaders do after that? I mean, yeah, he's going to take all 4. All right, so Paul Witt going on the 4-tire strategy. If you're Kenneth Rittinger and Joey Hickox, do you copy that strategy? Do you try something different? I think Joey might be in a position to try copying that strategy, but I think if you're Kenneth Rittinger, maybe you take fuel only. Either way, this is shaping up to get really, really exciting. I think Matthew Dyer has potentially ended his chances. I mean, we'll see how much time he can make up, but he is currently in 7th behind Rodney Roberts, 8.5 seconds back from the leader and the leader in the championship battle as well, Kenneth Rittinger. Cody says Robert Jordan has improved so much in the last year. So fun to see him improve. Absolutely. Could not have said it better. And speaking of improved, he's improved this position so far since we just took a look at him. Up 2 spots from when we last checked. Sitting in 8th position. The Camus Chevy Silverado. He's trying to see if he can maybe get by Matthew Dyer, but it looks like Dyer is going to try to hold that position. I'm telling you, he must have had an issue on his pit stop. In fact, let's see if we can maybe go back here, get a quick look at what happened to Sam Boutwell on his entry. And was this might have been a different incident. And excuse me if I said Sam Boutwell. I don't know, man, I'm getting it is late here on a Saturday night, so I do apologize. I meant to say Matthew Dyer if I did. I'm not sure which one I'd said, but we're looking for him here now. It looks like it went all the way back to the top, so give me just a moment here to work this out. And here we go. Let's see if he had a smooth stop or if there were some issues here. Oh, well, that was a quick little flashback. Didn't really give us too much time to even check what happened. Unless he sped. You certainly don't think he sped. It looks pretty clean from that view. A little bit of a lockup, but nothing major for sure. And it just isn't going to go his way here. Something. Did he maybe have a slip up on the way out? You have to wonder. Gets into the box. The pit stop, well, maybe not the fastest one in the world. Doesn't look like he misses his box. Gets his tires. Looks clean there, clean there. Gets out, no issues. Working his way, trying to get up to speed here. And from that view, everything looked good. So I'm just not sure. That's a tough one to call. Not sure what happens to Matthew Dyer, but either way, it's going to probably put him out of contention. He's really struggling now. Back 10 seconds, and he's actually fallen a position now back to 8th. Robert Jordan up to 7th. Continuing to improve his positions. All right, here comes Joey Hickox and Kenneth Riedinger. So they're going to do the same strategy, but the question is, are they taking tires or just fuel here? Getting ready to find out. Now I think they are going to take tires. Did Kenneth make his box? He did. Joey's got to be real careful here as well, and it looks like he's going to take some tires. Yep, sure enough, takes rights. Oh, but that's all he takes. Kenneth Riedinger's only going to take right sides. What does Joey do here? Joey is going to take all 4. Okay. All right, so the battle is on now. Joey Hickox on 4 tires. So is Paul Witt. Kenneth Riedinger. Oh, yellow flag is out. Yellow flag is in the air. Hold on just a minute. Rodney Roberts is the culprit. Damage to the right side of the fireball machine, and the engine looks destroyed on it. And I'm thinking he tagged that outside wall pretty hard. And this is going to shake up everybody's running. Kenneth Riedinger right now is probably losing his mind. Meanwhile, Joey Hickox is saying, thank you, Rodney Roberts. 4 tires versus 2 tires. Oh, man, this is going to get crazy. But let's go take a look here first at what happened to Rodney Roberts. I think he might have been trying to get down to the pits. No. Oh, heck no. This is involving Paul Witt. Oh, again here. What happens? It looks like Rodney's just getting tight. Gets up the track. Gets into the left side of Paul Witt. Oh, that's a tough break for Paul, and that's going to end his championship night. Dang. You hate to see that, man. He was making such a comeback, and he's not even going to have a chance at it now. He doesn't have a fast pair left in the pits, and although most of it was sustained to the back end, that truck is still just not going to have race-winning speed, I don't think. You never know. We've seen crazier things happen, but that's a really tough break for Paul Witt, and I'm sure he's not too happy about that one. You know, we got to wonder here, does Rodney Roberts get tight, or did he have an issue? It looks like he just gets tight, but I want to double-check this because it did look like he got tight all in one hurry. Ooh, you know what? Let's go back to this view. Does he clip the apron? No, it doesn't look like it. He just gets really tight. He's working the wheel, and then there's Paul Witt, who's got a good run on the outside and just gets into the right rear. Tags him again, T-bones him, gets him up in the air. Paul Witt, stick right on board here with him as well. That truck got damage on, I would say, 3 out of the 4 corners. Left front looking like the only side that survived without any impact. Take one more final view of it here. Man, oh man, did not expect to see that coming. Kenneth Rinninger, if that would have happened just a little bit sooner, he could have put 4 tires on it. So we're going to go ahead and set up the scenario for you here. We're kind of assuming that Paul Witt's night is unfortunately over here. On the flip side of that, Matthew Dyer's night comes back to life here. We said he would need a caution here to have a shot at it. And you got to assume anybody that hadn't made that second stop yet just came down to take 4. But Joey Hickox, I think he's in the catbird seat here. He is going to be the highest running guy with 4 fresh tires. Is what it's looking like here. You know, he may have a lot of trucks to pass if he wanted to get to the lead, but he's just looking to lead the championship battle. So we'll see what happens here. But some of these guys are playing interesting strategy. I'm trying to keep an eye on stuff here. It looks like Joey and them are still a lap down right now. And that's part of the way those pit stops cycled out. They must have just lost the lead lap before they could get out, or just after the caution flew. So that could change some things here as well. And nope, looks like, actually, still trying to figure this out here. Yeah, it's showing Joey scored a lap down. I'm not sure what happened. He had been, unless he got a penalty. But the only assumption you can make. I find that a little hard to believe, though, for sure. And if that's the case, that would be a really, really tough play. Yeah, so Joey Hickox, all of a sudden, the man that I said was in the catbird seat, not so much because he's being shown a lap down here, and it doesn't look like he's one of those 3 trucks that would be getting it back. Again, assuming all this is accurate, I'll tell you what, we are going to take a quick break so we can get everything sorted out. We'll have the answers for you when we come back. Stick with us. Back live at Chicagoland Speedway, excuse me, and we got it sorted out for you. So what happened, it was a glitch by iRacing, so sure enough, Joey Hickox is on the lead lap, and that makes a lot more sense than it certainly did for a moment, because we saw him come in right behind Kenneth Rinninger, and I was really confused how all of a sudden he ended up a lap down, so he is getting that lap back. And on that note, he may not be in the catbird seat so much anymore, as it looks like he's got a lot of work ahead of him, unfortunately. But he is one of the drivers with 4 fresh tires. All right, 14 laps to go. Good jump from Kenneth Rinninger. The race is on. Who is going to win the championship? The 24 is in prime position. His biggest threat right now is his teammate, Matthew Dyer, who currently sits back here in the 2 car in 7th. And he sits behind a lot of guys right now, and he knows he does not have any time to waste. No more tire saving at this point. It is all go. 14 laps to go. We could still see another caution, and if so, if you got a tire set still sitting around, maybe you got something for the end of this thing. Gets to the inside now of Sam Boutwell. That's the man we're keeping an eye on. But as these guys all race, Kenneth Rinninger would like to extend his lead. But how about the run right now from Robert Gray in the 33? Up 17 positions from where he started. And he's looking to challenge for the lead here. Doesn't care whether he's in the championship or not. He's another one that would like to get a win here tonight. I think this draft is going to keep everybody really even right now. But Matthew Dyer is just saying, come on, guys, cut me a break. I want to get up there and race my teammate. But he's not able to find anything right now. Kenneth Rinninger is going to have to sit. Well, he's just got to stay in front of the 2 truck. He's got a lot of trucks separating those 2 right now. And if he could get the win and the championship for that's just icing on the cake at that point. We're keeping an eye on some of these other guys as well. Joey Hickox looks like has not made up really many positions so far during this run. And Paul Witt with the damage, sitting back here in 11th, not able to keep up with the lead pack and looking like his night is over. That is a tough break for Paul, to say the least. Matthew Dyer still trapped. So we're going to keep it up front now. Kenneth Riedinger is still leading, coming to 11 laps to go, this time at the line. I know we still got a ways to it, but remember, if we can get to that white flag 10 laps from now, this race will be official. If they want to wreck after that, Kenneth Riedinger will say, so let it be. Matthew Fritz, he's looking to challenge for second. Could we see the Hickox Racing driver get his first win of the playoffs here? Wasn't able to quite advance to the Final Four, but we talked about earlier that he was another guy with a pretty good playoff run. See what he can do tonight. He's going to get a little bit of arrow push here from his teammate Jay Stinson, who now darts back to the top behind Robert Gray. Matthew Dyer looking to the outside of Robert Jordan now, and although it seems like I might think he's fading, you know, he knows that you're not really going to be able to work your way through lap traffic here, at least not in the early laps. Everybody's just too equal with the draft, but, you know, even if he saves just a little bit of tire but sits up in this lead pack, maybe when we get around 5 to go, everybody else is starting to fade, and that's what he needs. You know, I'm not sure, but what I am sure about is these guys continue to race it out side by side. The 33 of Robert Gray refuses to give an inch to Matthew Fritz. Jay Stinson was maybe thinking about looking to the middle there. He thinks better of it as he goes back to the high side, and Sam Boutwell, who we saw challenging earlier for one of the podium positions, he's looking to get back in this battle. Joey Hickox moves up another position in front of Robert Jordan, now up to 9th. I think he's still going to need another caution, though, or something to give him a little more help, but he's starting to make up the positions now that I thought maybe he wouldn't have enough time for. I think in the next 3 laps, he's really got to try to get past these next 3 or 4 trucks. I know that's a big ask, but that might be what it takes. 8 laps to go. Kenneth Riedinger continues to lead over Robert Gray second, Jay Stinson third, Matthew Fritz fourth as the field gets lined up, but now Sam Boutwell looks to the inside of Matthew Fritz. He currently sits in 5th. Matthew Dyer 6th. Richard Hurst 7th. Albert Hewins 8th. Joey Hickox in 9th. Robert Jordan 10th. Vicente Guerrero in 11th. Paul Witt 12th. John Bell 13th. Randy Bonomi 14th. Rodney Roberts, Robert E. Morrison, Xander Short, Justin Parman, Ray Zerkut, all the way through 19th position, have retired from the race. Down the backstretch, it looks like, well, Jay Stinson just took second away from Robert Gray. I was going to say, this group's starting to fade off Riedinger just a little bit, but I think that's why it looked that way. Meanwhile, Matthew Dyer, it looks like, was able to get around another truck, but he's still got a lot of work ahead of him. I just don't know if he's got enough time. 6 laps to go. A caution could yet again change everything if we get one. Kenneth Riedinger doesn't want to see one, and I think if you're Matthew Dyer, Joey Hickox, you are sitting there praying for one right now. Joey's still sitting around 9th. He's not been able to get around anybody else just yet. He sees a couple trucks battling in front of him. And Kenneth Riedinger over the second running. Oh, and Jay Stinson actually gets in front of Riedinger here. And this was a sudden shift. Riedinger's going to go to battle with him here. Jay Stinson by no means wants to give it up here. He would also like to find a win here. Did not see that move come out of anywhere for the most part, but he made a move. Oh, getting a little tight. Man, that's really, really tight racing. Kenneth Riedinger right now is probably gripping that wheel extra tight. Oh, man, these guys cannot get into trouble now. Riedinger doesn't have anything left in the pits, but he's really, really pinching Jay Stinson down. He wants to keep the clean air. This is Matthew Dyer and Joey Hickox's best chance, but we're coming to 4 to go, and we're just starting to run out of time. Still side by side, Robert Gray, Matthew Fritz looking to pounce. And how about the run here late from Richard Hurst? All the trouble he has had so far tonight, and he has crawled his way back up into the top 5, up 10 from where he started, and he might have something to go for the win with this thing at the end as well. Looks like Kenneth was able to fend off Joey's teammate rather, Jay Stinson finally, but man, for a little while there, I thought Jay Stinson was going to have a shot at taking the lead, but it seemed like the outside prevailed. And you got to wonder, is Robert Gray taking notes on that if he gets another shot? Nope, Kenneth's doing a very nice job defending that outside right now. He knows that that is going to be the preferred lane, and he is making sure that whatever he does not give it away. Ooh, he got a little tight there, almost got into the wall. The 33 was able to hang side by side that time because of it. Oh, he really sent it in. Got to be careful. He's going to get tight right here. Looks like he's going to make it stick out of 4, diving down to the apron. Side by side, he might have a shot at the lead here, but the run is just too great from the outside. 2 laps to go. That means the final chance for a caution this lap. throw about the top six rather, all under a blanket right now. They continue to go at it. Mayor's Matthew Dyer on the bottom. He's giving it everything he's got. Can Kenneth Riedinger hold off the charging pack for one more lap? We're coming through 3 and 4 to take the white flag this time. Looks like the 33 touched the apron. Kenneth saying, come on, boys, keep it clean. One more lap around. Can Kenneth Riedinger win the Season 3 championship? Jay Stinson still looking for a win here in the playoffs. Does he make a move to the outside or the inside? No, he's going to save it. Does he make a move for 3 and 4? Kenneth Riedinger back down to the bottom. Here comes Matthew Fritz looking to charge to the top. Matthew Dyer sitting back. He doesn't have enough. Final time down the backstretch here at Chicagoland. Final time entering down to turn 3. Does Jay Stinson send it? He doesn't. He's going to stay respectful. The championship leader looking for a run on the outside. It's not going to be enough. Out of turn 4, your Season 3 championship is going to go to Kenneth Riedinger in the 24 truck. He wins it, and they wreck out back. Matthew Dyer finishes 2nd in the championship battle. Joey Hickox finishes 3rd in the championship battle, and Paul Witt finishes 4th in the championship battle. My goodness. You know, and for the racing that was providing at the end, that was one of the most exciting sequences. I was about as nervous for Kenneth Riedinger as I've been the whole season. I was sitting there wondering, you know, was he going to get taken out? Was he going to get past the lead? Did Matthew Dyer somehow have enough to come out of nowhere and make something happen? But at the end of the day, Kenneth Riedinger with a, well, pretty dominant performance here tonight. He brings home the win, and he brings home the championship. Not much else to say about it except a heck of a run. Congratulations to Kenneth Riedinger and Grandstand Racing. Does a burnout on the front stretch here, and I think that's going to be a pretty excited man during his interview, and you cannot blame him. And we are getting ready to get to top 3 here in the booth. Before we do that, now that Kenneth finishes his burnout, let's take a look. Come to the checkered here. We saw a wreck out back. Of course, it didn't really change too much, but I wanted to see what exactly went wrong here. Out of turn 4, there's Matthew Dyer on the bottom. Oh, man. That looks like somebody gets shot up to the wall. That's Richard Hurst. I believe, at least, it looks like here. See if we can get a better view. And was there some, yeah, that's the 76 on the outside. It looks like the two of Matthew Dyer's trying to give it everything that they kind of get up into the 33. Maybe not quite contact, just hard racing on the last lap. But the 33 after that does get up into the 76. Tags the outside wall. He gets back down into Albert Hewins. And at this point, I mean, it's checkers or wreckers. These guys are going to stay full throttle through it. Joey Hickox going to head down low here. Going to try to split the gap. And absolutely clobbers the 33 after. But there is your race winner, Kenneth Riedinger, in the 24 after a thriller. We got your top 3 when we come back. Stick with us. Back live here at Chicagoland Speedway. Going to start with 3rd place finisher Matthew Fritz. Matthew, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, Hickox Racing. Unfortunately, your teammate Joey wasn't quite able to get the championship, but you and Jay Stinson finished 2-3. Good night for you two. But let's start with you, man. I mean, heck of a race, but towards the end there, you found a ton of speed. What was the difference from earlier on to the end?
I was driving mad. I'm not a big fan of somebody wrecking somebody intentionally, and that's what happened tonight, but they'll clean it up. And but yeah, I was driving angry, and then when I drive angry, I usually drive faster, so.
Well, you looked really good. Hey, this is one of your best finishes here in the playoffs. You bring it home on the podium. How does this momentum help you carrying into season 4?
It helps a lot, and yeah, I like this track. I love Chicagoland, ripping the outside. It's one of my favorite things to do when I racing is run the high line.
Well, you had a good-looking truck tonight. You finished 3rd. Before we let you go, though, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Gotta thank Joey and Jay. They put on a great league, and Manny Rays sponsor the league and the sponsor on my truck, and appreciate you broadcasting.
All right. Well, once again, congratulations on your 3rd place finish in the final race of season 3. We'll see you next season.
Thank you.
And now we're going to bring in 2nd place finisher, Matthew Fritz's teammate, and that's Jay Stinson. Jay, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. How you doing, Al?
Well, I'm good, man. Great run for you. You were challenging. I thought you might have got a win there towards the end. Man, what more do you think you needed to beat the 24 out?
Buddy, he's tough. You know, he did a good job there on the last lap. I had it set up the way I wanted. He kind of blocked my run coming off the back stretch, and then it was my decision to either dive bomb and then maybe possibly slide up and take out one of the championship 4, and that's just not how I drive. I didn't want to take anybody out that may have had an opportunity to win a championship. If I could have got him clean, then I would have got him clean. If not, then I was happy to finish where I finished. Maybe not the right way to think of things if you're trying to win, but he worked his butt off all playoffs, and it wasn't going to be me that took him out of it on a dumb move. So maybe another lap I would have got him because he had a little bit older tires. So, but another lap it probably would have been mine, but we didn't have that.
Well, Hickox Racing in general had a great season. Good way to finish it off for you tonight. What do you look to bring into season 4 the most of all?
Just keep getting better every week. We do a little bit of practicing. Love my teammates between Joey and Matt and Randy, and a couple of guys that run in there with us with Robert Gray and Richard. Just it's a fun Discord. So hopefully to bring all those guys back and have another season of us just cutting up and having a good time in the Discord, and maybe make a run for a championship and get inside that championship 4. Just one of us, 2 of us, or all 4 of us if we can.
Finish 2nd tonight. Congrats on that. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Man, like always, thank you, Austin, for being our broadcaster and doing what you do. It's amazing to go back and watch these broadcasters run by you or Richard himself, so it's always fun, and we love what you do. Manny Rays, I couldn't thank him and Manny Rays enough. Raymond, I give you a shout out, buddy, for everything that you do. You keep the league running, and we couldn't be more happy with the sponsors that we have. Blue Ridge, Flatwoods, just everybody. We really appreciate everybody that comes out and has a good time, and all the sponsors that contribute. H&H Tractor, just all these guys that come out and allow us to do what we like to do for fun.
All right. Well, good way to end season 3. We'll see you next season.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. That was Jay Stinson. Now let's bring up your winner tonight and the season 3 champion, Kenneth Rittinger. Kenneth, how's that sound?
That sounds great.
Well, man, let's start with you were absolutely dominant from, well, maybe a little bit before, but at least the halfway point on. But towards the end there, things started to get a little sketchy. You were racing really hard with Jay. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, that before that, against that Paul Whip caution, the last caution to bring everybody down, I had already decided to take 2 tires and run it out there to the end. So I was on old left side tires, and I knew everybody else had 4 behind me, and I just wanted to keep that clean air and keep him down on the bottom. If he was going to pass me, he was going to be on the bottom because I knew it was difficult, and I knew 4 tires it would still be difficult, but as long as I kept that clean air, those 2 tires would hold on just for the 20 laps or 15 laps that we had. So it was a lot of flat-footing it right there.
Well, you secure the championship for Grandstand Racing tonight. Going into next season, what's the biggest thing you think you focus on to try to go back-to-back in the championship race?
Got plenty of speed and what I'm doing. I just need to work on more of the pit strategy and cleaning up some of the errors that I've had throughout the year. There's a couple wins I should have had on pit strategy that I screwed up on the amount of fuel I had. So just have to clean up on pit road, and I think we'll be good.
Well, man, for you to come back after the accident you had earlier was very impressive. Congrats on the win in the season through championship. But before we let you go, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out tonight?
Yeah, just my teammates. We put a lot of practice in this year for these races. It's a couple months of dedication to do this stuff. And then just to Jay and Joey there, I know this is a lot of work to put this on, and I couldn't imagine the amount of work that they put in and do full-time jobs of their own and have to do this. So thanks to the league, and we'll be back next year.
All right. Thanks for talking to us, man. And one more time, congratulations on the season 3 championship.
All right. Thank you.
And that was Kenneth Rinier. Goes home with it. And you know what? Again, well-deserved. Very dominant. By no means was it an underdog or long shot victory. Very dominant throughout the season. Pretty dominant throughout the playoffs, too, and gets it done here tonight. Came into this race first in points as well, and comes out of it first in points in that fashion as well. All right, so going through your finishing results tonight, Kenneth Riedinger not only won the championship, but he did win the race. Jay Stinson, second. Matthew Fritz finishes third. Matthew Dyer, fourth. Robert Gray in fifth. Sam Boutwell, sixth. Richard Hurst, seventh. Joey Hickox, eighth. Robert Jordan in ninth. Albert Hewins, 10th. Vicente Guerrero, 11th. Paul Witt, 12th. John Bell in 13th. Randy Vanomi in 14th. Rodney Roberts in 15th. Robert E. Morrison, 16th. Xander Short in 17th. And Justin Parham rounds out the top 18. Your last position on track tonight, finishing 19th, is going to be Ray Zerkut. After a good start early, his race came to an abrupt end. Well, it was a great season, and I want to say on behalf of NOMA, thank you to everyone for coming out. Thank you to Manny Rays for sponsoring the league. They certainly appreciate it, and it's cool to see you guys out here watching every week. We appreciate you here on Ghost Racing Network as well. I hope everybody did enjoy tonight. One of the best races of the season, to say the least. Definitely did not disappoint, and that's making us all the more excited for next season. We'll have more info on it shortly. But if you want any reminders, all you got to do is hit that follow button, and you will see it pop up on Ghost Racing Network. Until next time, from me here at Ghost Racing Network, Austin Green, have a good one.